Today we're going to talk about the psychology of what makes exes chase after you. Now, I'm a big believer in simplifying things. Perhaps the simplest way that I can put my thoughts on what makes exes chase after you is the following quote. We chase that which we value. And the main problem in the ex-back space is that for a lot of people, exes no longer value you. And this makes sense because most of the people who come to our website or listening to this YouTube channel have often been broken up with. So the real question, I think, isn't how do I make an ex chase after me? That's kind of simple. You simply need to make your ex value you. Instead, what we should be asking is how can we make exes value us? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. But first, the most important thing that you need to do on this video is to like and subscribe to it. No, I'm just kidding. But if you do like my videos or my YouTube channel, I would be really grateful if you could just hit the like button on this video, or if you like a lot of these videos, just click subscribe and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right, let's dive in. So I believe there are four main pillars to making someone value us to the max. And really, those four pillars are going to be things that I really haven't talked about at all on this YouTube channel. So all of this is going to be new. And it first starts with pillar number one, uniqueness over attractiveness. So we're going to kind of start here with a touchy subject, something that can potentially get me in trouble. Looks versus personality debate. But I'm actually not the only one who decided to touch this concept. In 2014, UT Austin researchers by the name of Paul Eastwick and Lucy Hunt wrote a paper called Relational Mate Value, Consensus and Uniqueness in Romantic Evaluations. So in their paper, Eastwick and Hunt argue that it's uniqueness that defines attractiveness and not so much the looks that we would expect. So here's the rub. Eastwick and Hunt argue that people that we consider to be average of looks tend to actually become more appealing to us with time. Yet that's actually not what I found most interesting about their assertions. So the second pillar is the sphere of influence. Seems like kind of an odd choice when we're looking at what can make you more valuable to an ex so that they'll chase you. Other people? Now, if you didn't know, sphere of influence is basically a collection of people who your ex surrounds themselves with, whose opinions they truly care about. So the people closest to them typically are intimate relationships, then you have close relationships, then you have casual relationships and distant acquaintances. As a whole, generally on the sphere of influence, exes usually only have 5 people whose opinions really care about them. Mom, dad, best friends, brothers, sisters, people like that. These are the opinion shapers. But one of the interesting things that we've found through researching a lot of breakups is the fact that a lot of times these opinion shapers have a huge impact in getting them back or causing them to value you. Now, it goes without saying that most of the time after a breakup, your ex's sphere of influence is going to be on their team. But over time, that can kind of waver, and especially if you're finding or getting the sphere of influence on your side, or maybe having or doing something noteworthy to get your ex's sphere of influence's attention, they can almost serve as salesmen for you. Hey, did you look and see what they did? Hey, check out this Facebook post of your ex. Can you believe she or he is doing this thing? That's kind of what we want. And that also raises your value, because what is not being said directly to your ex, because people are cowards and they don't like confrontation. Well, most people don't like confrontation. What's being said ultimately is, look at what a big mistake you made, because look at what this person accomplished. That's the narrative we're trying to create in your ex's head. And if it's coming from other people, then your ex sits there and thinks, this is how the world outside of me views her or him. Maybe I did make a mistake. And in their head, they start to value you more. So pillar number 3 is going to be revolving around how ungettable you are. Give me 1 second. During the pandemic, I thought it would be fun to write a book. So I wrote this book. It's called Ungiddable, Becoming the Woman Every Man Wants. Now, it's geared towards women, but the principles apply to men as well. Essentially, I make one big assertion in this book. We do not value things that are easy to get. And if you think about it, it's kind of true. When someone gives you a free sample at a grocery store, it doesn't make me more likely to buy the free sample. It's like, oh cool, something free. We kind of take it for granted. Because the truth of the world is that the harder something is to get or achieve, the more we end up valuing and respecting it. So why would you make yourself easy to get for your ex? This is the main problem that most people have after a breakup. They're so desperate to get their exes back that they will do anything. but they need to do the opposite. They need to make themselves harder to get. And if you don't believe me, I actually went to our private Facebook support group to see some of the questions that were being asked today. Some of the mistakes, if you will. Wanting to send an ex a letter. Wanting to send an ex flowers. Wanting to plead with them. Wanting to break no contact when they really shouldn't be breaking no contact. Thinking that if you just see them in person, you can convince them that you want to come back and they will come back to you. Oh, and my favorite, sending friends to try to convince your ex to come back. That's one day. All of these tactics lower your value. They make you easier to get. And it just feeds into this idea that the ex has that, you know what? I'm better than them. I can get them whenever I want. And that's not someone that your ex typically will chase. Your ex is going to chase someone that they think they can get, but is hard to get. And that's perhaps the other side of the ungettable concept that people get wrong. Ungettable is such a cool word, but we don't want to make ourselves so ungettable that no one tries to get us. It's the whole prom queen thing. No one asks out the girl to prom because she's too beautiful, and guess what? No one thinks they have a chance. We don't want that. What we want is to make ourselves gettable but difficult to get. That is the ungettable mindset. Now, the fourth and final pillar has to do with a really important concept that I'm sure almost everyone's going to ignore, and once again, I'll have to make another video highlighting it. It is secure attachment gravity. Now, it goes without saying that by our own admission, our clients believe that they are anxious, preoccupied on the attachment spectrum. And it sort of fits seamlessly into the last pillar I just talked about. Remember that Facebook group analogy I just said, where I went to the Facebook group and showed you all of the crazy things people are doing in one day? All of those are anxious, desperate behaviors. And if you know anything about someone who's anxious, you'll know that their core wound is a fear of abandonment. Their core wound just came true. Their ex has just ignored them. Their ex has just broken up with them. They have just been abandoned. And so what happens when that core wound gets triggered is they're a lot more liable to make anxious behavior and mistakes. Now, the goal for everyone who has an insecure attachment style is to work on making it more secure. And this goes too for exes, because as you know, most of our clients believe that their exes are avoidant. So what you have here is someone who is an anxious attachment style partner with someone who is an avoidant attachment style, and that is the most common pairing that we see. But let's play devil's advocate here. Let's say that you were able to shift your anxious attachment style to a more secure one. So what tends to happen is if you have an insecure attachment style partnered with a secure attachment style, a battle tends to unfold. So either one of the following two things will happen. The secure attachment will rub off onto the insecure attachment and thereby show the insecure attachment, hey, this is what relationships are supposed to be like. This is how you're supposed to conduct yourself in a relationship. And the insecure attachment style will become more secure. A gravity happens. All of a sudden, that insecure attachment is drawn towards the secure attachment. On the other hand, the opposite can also occur. The insecure attachment rubs off on the secure attachment, and the secure attachment begins to become insecure. They begin to get triggered. The single biggest mistake you can make is the belief that attachment styles are fixed. They're not. They're fluid. They change based on the relationships that you find yourself in. Sometimes we're in a relationship with someone who is secure and it makes us better. Sometimes we're in a relationship with someone who is insecure and it makes us worse. Depending on who we're in a relationship with, our attachment styles will change based on whatever will trigger us. And I really love this concept because the key important point to secure attachment gravity is to focus inward, to focus on yourself. Not to say that there's anything wrong with you, but I think human beings all have a maximum potential that we've never hit. And the secure attachment concept is all about focusing on yourself so that you achieve your attachment potential. What I taught you in this video isn't a matter of tricking an ex into chasing you. It's a matter of focusing inward, bettering yourself, reaching your potential, and as a result, your ex being drawn to you. In my opinion, that is the way to get an ex back. That is the way to figure out if you should even be trying to get an ex back. That is the way to make an ex chase you. I'm not gonna lie, it's nice to have the cool texting tactics and everything like that, but in my opinion, that doesn't matter at all unless you have this part done first. Figure out these 4 pillars, master them to the best of your ability, and you'll find results tend to follow.